Welcome back to Bible and Blues, and as you can see, we are in a different avatar. I'll be honest, I don't particularly like this one. This one is handmade. I mean, they call it made from scratch. Um, you can see it's right there on the sign above me. It says "made from scratch." All avatars made from scratch, and he has a few, and it's good. It's good quality, and everything moves right. Moves for the most part all right, and everything. But you know the hairs moves a little more than it probably should. It's like it's weighted or something, but whatever. It's just not my style. I mean, I'm looking for something that's not feminine, effeminate, or anything like that. But at the same time, this just isn't me. I don't feel like me in this. I actually feel like me more in my Bones outfit, to be honest. It's that feels more me than this. So we're gonna go back to it right now. Avatars, Mr. Noble Skeleton. So and there we go. Now we're changing. Yeah, there it is. Back to Mr. Noble Skeleton. I don't need to change my. There we go. I like this one better. What can I say? This feels more like me now than that one did, and that's the way avatars are. That's when you know you've got the right one, when it feels like you. Right now, this one feels like me. Maybe it's because I've been using it for so long now. That might have something to do with it, but I'm comfortable here with this. So I hope you like it, because until I find something new, this is what it's going to be. So we're going to stick around in this world. I'll show you some things here. It's a small world, after all, and so we'll do that afterwards. But we're doing Acts 14 today, and Acts 14 is it's an Iconium. Still haven't looked up how to pronounce these things. With Paul and Barnabas, and they're kind of traveling around doing the Lord's work. So without further ado, let's get involved in it here. At Iconium, Paul and Barnabas went as usual into the Jewish synagogue. There they spoke so effectively that a great number of Jews and Greeks believed. But the Jews who refused to believe stirred up the other Gentiles and poisoned their minds against their brothers. So Paul and Barnabas spent considerable time there, speaking boldly for the Lord, who confirmed the message of his grace by enabling them to perform signs and wonders. The people of the city were divided. Some sided with the Jews, while others with the apostles. There was a plot afoot among the Gentiles and Jews, together with their leaders, to mistreat them and stone them. But they found out about it and fled to the Lycaonian cities of Lystra and Derbe and the surrounding country, where they continued to preach the gospel. So they're meeting resistance here. I mean, have you ever met some resistance on something that you're doing, and their choice? I mean, they did their work. They had many people come to the Lord from this time in Iconium, and they found it, and they found people that wanted to to be with the Lord, and to convert from, and but they met with resistance, and this is a common theme among us today. People who just don't want to hear it, and they're being online, that there's people who will plot against you to a certain extent. Sure, my family is good about it. My family is fine with it. I could share these with them nonstop. They might even watch them every now and then. But it's one of those things that's very difficult to do when people are actually plotting against you, and is it paranoia if they're really out to get you? So in Lystra there sat a man who was lame. He had been that way from birth and had never walked. He listened to Paul, and as he was speaking, Paul looked directly at him and saw that he had faith to be healed, and called out, "Stand up on your feet." At that, the man jumped up and began to walk. When the crowd saw what Paul had done, they shouted in the Lycaonian language. Is that Lycaonian? Lycaonian? "The gods have come down to us in human form. Barnabas they called Zeus, and Paul they called Hermes, because he was the chief speaker. The priests of Zeus, whose temple was just outside the city, brought bowls and wreaths to the city gates because he and the crowd wanted to offer sacrifices to them. Talk about misreading what's going on, huh? But when the apostles Barnabas and Paul heard of this, they tore their clothes and rushed out into the crowd, shouting, "Friends, why are you doing this? We too are only human. Like you, we bring you good news. We are bringing you good news, telling you to turn from these worthless things to the living God, who made the heavens and the earth and the sea and everything in them. In the past, he let all nations go their own way. Yet he has not left himself without testimony. He has shown kindness by giving you rain from heaven and crops in their seasons. He provides you with plenty of food and fills your hearts with joy." Even with these words, they had difficulty keeping the crowd from sacrificing to them. Then some Jews came from Antioch and Iconium and won the crowd over. They stoned Paul and dragged him outside the city, thinking he was dead. But after the disciples had gathered around him, he got up and went back into the city. The next day, he and Barnabas left for Derbe. Are you kidding me? They stoned him. Okay, picture this. I mean, he says all of these things. Even with these words, they couldn't understand, and they wanted to worship Paul and Barnabas. And they're like, no. We are not the ones here to be worshipped. God is the one that needs to be worshipped. Only God should be worshipped. And they're having trouble with this. Then some Jews came from Antioch and Iconium and won the crowd over. These were not people on their side. They stoned Paul. They dragged him outside of the city, thinking he was dead, thinking they'd gotten rid of him. But after the disciples had gathered around him, he got up and went back into the city. That takes guts. That, my dear friends, is somebody who is operating with the Lord right there. He got up and went back into the city. The next day, he and Barnabas left for Derbe. Do you think that after he left, he went back into the city? Do you think he was kind of in a vision to them, or that they had seen him? People it took some people and actually drew them closer. So they preached the gospel in that city and won a large number in Derbe, and won a large number of disciples. Then they returned to Lystra, Iconium, and Antioch, strengthening the disciples and encouraging them to remain true to the faith. "We must go through many hardships to enter the kingdom of God," they said. Paul and Barnabas, he just got stoned. Ow! We don't really, as people in the U.S. and Western culture, we don't really understand that. Rocks hitting you like that, they can break bones. Cuts and bruises. He was probably even... that hurts. Okay, straight up, that just hurts. They left him for dead, so obviously they did a pretty good job of it either way. "We must go through many hardships to enter the kingdom of God," they said. Paul and Barnabas appointed elders for them in each church, and with prayer and fasting committed them to the Lord in whom they had put their trust. After going through Pisidia, they came to Pamphylia, and when they preached the word in Perga, they went down to Attalia. From Italia, they sailed back to Antioch, where they had been committed to the grace of God for the work they had now completed. On arriving there, they gathered the church together and reported all that God had done through them and how he had opened a door of faith to the Gentiles. And they stayed there a long time with the disciples. I'll bet they did. It's time for take a break and a vacation time. Holy cow. I can't get over that. We go through hardships, like somebody says, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't talk about really, and we call that a hardship. We call that being stifled. We get somebody that talks bad online to us, and or an internet atheist that acts like it says, talks about the Sky Daddy and things like that, and we think we're being, we're put upon, or we're being held back from our views. And it's like, no. Paul was stoned. okay, and not the fun way. Okay, he was having rocks thrown at him. He was left for dead. He got up, went back in the city. Are we that tough in our faith? Are we that strong? I mean, that's what I read here. He just, and then he went back to the other places where he had been persecuted. We think we're persecuted. Are you kidding me? He's been to jail. He's had an angel slap him around. He's been stoned. He's, and we call ourselves persecuted here in the Western world, in the Western culture. We're wussies. So, I mean, really, we are. So, I mean, here I am. I'm in an avatar. You can't even see my face. And I worry about persecution. And it's like, he's going through this. Wow. I'm still a coward. But, hey. So, that's the reading of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Tell me, do you feel the same way I do? I'm kind of emotional about this. I'm kind of hitting up here on the emotion scale about this one. And do you think you're persecuted? Do you think you've got problems with your sharing your faith? Are you afraid of sharing your faith to other people? I freely admit. I actually told my crazy aunts and my sister today that I'm doing this kind of stuff, and my crazy aunt's seen one of my videos because I sent it to her, and she was like, she really respects it. My sister they respect it too. She respects it too. It's and I'm not hiding what I do. It's just, do I really feel nervous about sharing this with them? I mean, spam away. You know what I mean? Anyway, so let's go ahead and turn the camera around a little bit, and we're going to show a little bit about this world right here. There's a lot of good stuff that you can find in Avatar worlds, and then there's a lot of stuff that's not so good. We're going to kind of stick with some of the better stuff. So here's the different males. And I looked at a couple of them, the blonde haired dude in the middle, and basically the three on the right. I looked at, and I didn't, none of them really spoke to me. Okay, but there's then the next section here. We're gonna breeze through it because this is what you usually see when you're dealing with female avatars. I'll put it a little bit higher here. And it's just, and I understand, I do, but just be aware if you're sensitive to sexualized images, maybe you should stop, because I'm just going to breeze through them. I'm not going to hesitate like I am on this one. I'm hesitating here for a little bit because it actually makes me a little bit nervous, because this stuff is pretty inappropriate. But these are the ones you see when you for avatars, for women, a lot, for girls, just it's not doing any good, anything healthy, for people. Then there's a little section here for femboys, transgenders. God loves them just as much as He loves us. But they do have some cool stuff here. We have this this world here of floating cubes. You can get out on this balcony, hang out, and stuff. I came in here, and there was a bunch of young people. And when I say young, I mean, we're talking under 14. And their language is horrible, but I mean, I'm not even supposed to be in VR chat. Yeah, I'm not surprised if this is how you act. But, we're gonna, and, they have this other place right here. Now you can, again, they have, this is actually, this TV, you can put in, something if you're interested in, you can put, link, memes or whatever. You can put your stuff in here just to show your videos. If you want to hang out in here, watch a video with friends, things like that. I just, and so these are some things it can do. And this, to me, it's kind of a concept of, you have a responsibility to, to try to be a particular. I'm not trying to be a prude. Uh, it's just this is the problem with a lot of media today. A lot of media today is very sexualized. Um, and if you don't think so, look at sex sells. Look at advertising. Advertising colognes or advertising clothing is very much like that. Um, and what's in the movies and what's on TV. These things are all over the place. Um, and my problem with it is that these are in VR chat is not made up of predominantly adults. It's made up of honestly it's predominantly kids. So and that's why I always use a private instance so I don't have to listen to them because they're dropping f-bombs all over the place and it's not it's not something that I want to sit and listen to a lot of. So this is how I do it. Anyway, with enough of me posturing and being holier than thou, it's starting to sicken me a little bit. So beyond that, hey, thanks for coming. This is an Avatar world. This is just one of many. There's a lot of variety in them. I've seen Avatar worlds that are based on movies, based on anime, based on different shows, and so they're not all bad. I mean, this one actually isn't that bad. I've seen a lot worse than this. So I would encourage you just kind of, if you get into VR chat, use the private instance if you can't really handle that aspect of the kids. Kids don't bother me that much. It's just when they're when they get into a crowd and they're just dropping, they're dropping all this bad language nonstop. Even though I did it too in the playground growing up, and I'm sure you probably did too, where we would we're in the playground and talking with our friends, and certainly our language was anything but good. But that's the way it is. That's how certain things are, and it is a fallen world. That's just another aspect of it in my book. So, but anyway, thank you very much for watching and listening to me ramble on for the past 5 minutes at the very minimum. And you have a good one. Bye.